Westminster, I should say. Ranvir, I suppose
the question, Kate, and you know we've talked about it many times on the programme with many political commentators who'd say, look, you know, the public always factor in that Boris Johnson is rough around the edges and that he touches the public in a way that other MPs don't, and that's why he's become Prime Minister. Look, I think that the tide is turning. I really genuinely do. There was a Snap poll yesterday, a Comrade Savanta poll. It showed that over half of the UK now think that he should resign. We're talking about Boris Johnson here. That over 80% think that the government has let the public down with this number 10 Christmas party revelation, and that includes 3/4 of Conservative voters. That will worry number 10 greatly this morning. But I think beyond that, look, it's a sign of the problems that he has with Dominic Cummings, for example. Richard Gainsford was talking there about, is this a distraction? He described today's COVID announcements as a dead cat. And he said that actually we should be looking at another November the 13th flat party at number 10. So there is much, much more to come here. And I think the number we have to be looking at is 54. 54 MPs, Conservative MPs, would have to write a letter to trigger a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister. And I wonder now how many of those Tory MPs are feeling very, very uncomfortable. And many have called it pathetic. We've got Ruth Davidson on this morning, the former leader of the Scottish Conservatives. She said this whole debacle is pathetic. But the current leader of the Scottish Conservatives saying that anybody who misleads Parliament has to go. We have the former chair of the 1922 committee saying it's almost impossible to enshrine new regulations for us all around COVID in law because who's going to follow it? The storm clouds are definitely gathering, Kate. And I think this is a turning point for Boris Johnson's popularity in his party and in the country.
Ranvir, thank you very much.
It was interesting listening to the conversation between you and the panel and Ruth Davidson and Aisha and everyone there, because you know you were trying to make the point, you know, is there a way that this party could have happened without Boris Johnson knowing? Well, Dominic Cummings has thrown another grenade into it. We know Dominic Cummings, of course, you know, a personal aide who left because of the Barnard Castle scandal. He said that the investigation should also look at a flat party at the Prime Minister's flat on November the 13th. I mean, that is really close to home. Even more than the other party that is now currently being investigated. There are many, many questions here that we talked about earlier in the programme about the North Shropshire by-election. That itself is coming up next week because Owen Paterson had to resign because of the lobbying scandal. Boris Johnson again trying to protect a friend by changing the rules. Now, the fury of Tory MPs is truly reaching a new low because many of them are saying that they think they've already lost that by-election next week. That's a 23,000 majority the Conservatives had there. They think it could go either way by 500 votes. You've got now the question of a new Comrades poll that came out that suggests that half of the population of the UK think the Prime Minister should resign. Over 80% of people think that they have been let down by this Christmas party scandal, and 77% of Conservative voters also feel the same. Many, many numbers to consider. Let me just add one final one in for you. It would take 54 disgruntled Tory MPs to write a letter to the backbench committee to trigger a vote of no confidence in Boris Johnson. I think the storm clouds are gathering. I really do. And I think that this situation is only going to get worse and not better for the Prime Minister. So that number 54, bear it in mind.
Ranvir, thanks very much indeed.
Calls for the Prime Minister to resign from his own Tory MPs yet, but the leader of the Scottish Conservatives has said if the Prime Minister misled Parliament over the number 10 party scandal, then he should go. A Snap poll has also shown that, or suggested that over half of the UK population think the Prime Minister should now resign. It would take 54 MPs to write letters to trigger a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister. No suggestion we're close to that yet, but the fury among Tory MPs is reaching new lows.